Now, ahead of the Expo in Dubai later this year, the Dubai Chamber of Commerce and Industry selected Nigeria's Farmcrowdy among 10 African startups for business partnership. The chamber says startups are an important step in establishing bridges of communication and cross-border cooperation. I caught up with Kenneth Obiajulu, the Managing Director of Farmcrowdy Nigeria, to get more insight into this partnership.
So I think that the Expo 2020 is a very laudable idea, very noble. We've seen the fact that startups can play a crucial role in accelerating development in Africa, in Asia, in the Middle East, wherever it is. And I think what the Dubai government is looking at doing is to see how they can create an enabling environment through this exhibition of theirs to be able to bring minds together, to be able to build sustainable systems together.
Yeah, because usually when you talk about the tech ecosystem, looking at startups, it's Silicon Valley, then even Africa has gotten some traction, but then Dubai is getting on the map.
Yes, I mean, there's a lot going on in Dubai. I mean, I visit Dubai more than 4 or 5 times every year, and every time you get there, you begin to see different innovations and tech spaces coming up to be able to address critical issues and critical gaps within that space and also across the world. So they're really doing well.
Yeah, because it takes quite a lot to build a tech ecosystem.
Yes.
It takes the youth, having a good young population of people, having that spark coming up. How did you see this playing out in Dubai?
So I think if you visit so many tech hubs in Dubai, you will begin to also see that the young people are also getting the vibe of the fact that Dubai is pro-tech startup. They have so many concessions regarding even starting up your businesses there, have co-working spaces, have free licenses in some certain areas, and freeing up some policies that allow, tech innovators to be able to get into that space. So I think they're really well positioned to be able to attract that amount of talent to be able to build sustainable things.
All right, let's get into the work you guys are doing with the Dubai Chamber of Commerce. Okay. I understand you were selected, for business partnership. I'd like to get what that entails.
Okay, so sometime last year, exactly this time last year, we were at the Chamber in Kigali, where we were tasked with the responsibility of creating a cross-border mentorship program that allows African startups to be able to interact with, the UAE in general. And for us, that was the birth of possibilities, where the program was focused on how do we create a scenario where African businesses can connect to Dubai, and how can Dubai businesses also connect to Africa. The best way to go about it is to be able to have local experience, people that understand the African setting, to be able to tell those in the UAE and Dubai what is happening in Africa, and also the other way around. So the program was more about bringing about mentors from the UAE side to be able to mentor African startups, and then looking at African startups that have had great traction to be able to mentor UAE startups as well. So that's been a great opportunity.
So how was Farmcrowdy's participation in that?
So basically we had over, I think, about 1,000 applications, and it was narrowed down to about 10 major startups. And Farmcrowdy was selected on the basis of what we've done across Nigeria and our possibility for scale up, both within Africa and also in the Middle East.
Yeah, because when you look at the agri space which we play in, I can imagine the opportunities, yes, with the Arab nations, understanding that they're predominantly desert, yes, and then how the level of innovation we're going to see in that space will present some opportunities, especially for people like yourself.
So basically, if you look at what Farmcrowdy does, we connect smallholder farmers to finance to be able to increase their productivity, reduce post-harvest losses, and then most importantly, connect them to markets. Africa is known for its production capacity. We can produce almost anything. The soil is good, weather is amazing, right? But you look at the natural environment in some parts of the world, especially in the Middle East or Dubai, where more than 98% of what they consume is imported into the country. It makes a commercial case for the Dubai government to be able to look at how do we connect African businesses that are playing in the food space to, expose them to these markets. And Dubai might not necessarily be the market, but Dubai is a major trading hub that connects to other countries around the region, Kuwait, Oman, Saudi Arabia, and what have you. So I think for us, it's about where do we see ourselves playing in the agri space? How can we connect, our farmers to these superior markets where they are able to get even good value for what they've toiled all year round for?
Because I'd like you to speak on that importance of having that cross-border mentorship, going on, because it's very important in the mix.
So typically, I'll give you an example. My mentor was Nada. He's the co-founder of El Grosa in Dubai. Basically, he was able to set up something similar to what so many businesses are doing in Nigeria. But then again, it's also important for us to have local knowledge of how the regulatory framework in Dubai works and that region works, and what our business FarmCrowdy is all about. So the mentorship was about trying to understand how can we get into the Dubai market, what are the peculiarities in the Dubai market, and also him understanding what the African market is all about. How does it work? How does agriculture work in Nigeria and in Africa? How do we integrate all of these things to see how we can build on something that is sustainable? Because the strength of any innovation it's in its universal application. Why do you want to do something just in Nigeria that cannot be replicated in Nairobi, cannot be replicated in Dubai? And those are the things that we begin to check and see how we can get that into Dubai.
Yeah, because looking at the challenges that startups will face in Africa and also what they will face in Dubai, it's probably different. So it's very important to find that middle ground.
Yes, I mean, you look at in Africa, probably one of our biggest challenges might be access to finance, and venture capitalists and all of that. In Dubai, it might just be different. It might just be market access, right? Because we have lots of investors and a couple of the enabling environment in those places are relatively same. So like you said, it's about understanding what applies in a particular region and then adapting strategies that have been adopted before.
Yeah, so looking at that partnership and even the co-mentorship, I want to get the key takeout, especially what Africans can get from that Dubai tech ecosystem.
So basically that the ecosystem is ready to support African businesses. African businesses are also ready to be able to plug into, especially in the agri space, they're ready to plug into the systems there. They have warehouses in Dubai. They have a system that is seamlessly integrating most businesses. Every time I reach out to the Dubai Chamber, for example, they give me a list of potential buyers of XYZ commodities. They give you what the ranges are, contact information. They literally hold you by the hand and ensure that African businesses succeed. But at the same time, they're also looking at telling most of the businesses in the UAE and Dubai, there are opportunities in Africa where you can invest in. And let's see how we're able to integrate advantages of both sides, and let's take it to the world.
Yeah, because I think looking at the opportunities there, I think it's amplified even more with the event like the Expo 2020 coming on board. You're going to have people from different markets, everybody coming to experience Dubai for a period of time, and that synergy and that energy, that atmosphere, it's also going to be crucial. I'd like to speak to the opportunities, especially for even other players in the ecosystem, in the tech ecosystem in Africa, how they can plug into that.
I mean, Dubai was very deliberate in implementing or designing a program that would run for 173 days. It cuts across every single component. Their tech space is amazing. They're promoting so many innovations. They have so many hubs and so many programs that encourage African startups and startups across the world. I can name more than 20 that I've seen. They have a ministry of possibility. That shows you that there is nothing that is impossible here. If you can think about it, then we can get it done. They have the Dubai Future Accelerator programs, thinking about the future, things that are already limited as to where they are now, but they're thinking beyond the present and saying, how can we create systems that even in the future they become relevant? I think that's a space that any innovator in the world would love to be in, and we're super excited that we're part of the program that the Dubai Chamber is really encouraging and seeing how they can add value to African businesses.
So you think that African startups going forward in thinking about their strategy when it comes to raising capital, just the way they have a strategy for Silicon Valley, you think we should be looking at that Dubai strategy?
I think Dubai is ready. I think they're willing to accept local content from Africa, because Africa is the next place that has to do with agriculture. The African food market, as estimated by the World Bank, is set to hit the $1 trillion market by 2030, right? That market is ripe enough, and the Dubai space has seen that they want to play a crucial role in building tech-related businesses that have the capacity to be able to exploit and lay hold of these opportunities. I think it's an amazing place for any innovator to want to get into.
Right, but in taking advantage of the partnerships you're going to get from there, what's the next phase for Farmcrowdy then?
I mean, so for us, when I had that opportunity of discussing with the Sheikh or having this small presentation with the Sheikh, we told them in this quarter we'll be setting up a trading hub in Dubai that allows us to be able to even take advantage of the demand for big commodities like ginger, soybean, sesame, cashew, and a couple of them. And that would allow us to be able to expand our capacity and even work even with other African countries. Because with the free trade agreement that was signed by the African countries, it allows us to be able to take advantage of things that each country has, comparative advantage on, and then moving them to that region for either re-export or consumption within that location. So I think for us, an expansion into Dubai as a legal entity and also to be able to expand to other African countries.
And that was Kenneth Obiajulu, the Managing Director of Farmcrowdy Nigeria. And that's a wrap on Beyond Markets, and thank you so much for joining us. Remember, you can watch the show at 5 p.m. West Africa time daily and have access to all previous episodes of Beyond Markets on our website. That's at cnbcafrica.com. You can also stay engaged with the hashtag Beyond Markets and follow me at Kenneth Igbomor. Have a wonderful day.